Hello and welcome back to the Sky Mobile Transfer Show, where we discuss the latest deals and rumours happening in this crazy summer window. Today, it is all things Arsenal, specifically whether their signings can turn them into title contenders next year once again. To do so, we've got two of the best content creators around, arguing all things for Arsenal today, potentially Mr. Clive. Welcome, Clive. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Great to have you with us. And James Allcott is here too. Superstar of the content game. How are you, big man?
I'm all right, yeah. I'm delighted with that title.
You're both superstars, by the way.
Thank you.
We've got the flattery out of the way.
Yeah.
Arsenal have had an incredibly busy summer so far. There's been 6 players in, 6 players have left, and we're here to discuss whether they make Arsenal title favourites next year. Clive, let's kick off with the big one of the last week or so. Viktor Gyokeres has arrived. He's been signed for £55 million, I think initially, rising to potentially 63. Were you impressed with Arsenal to not just get this deal done, but get it done for this fee?
The fee's good. I think most of the Western world have been saying that Arsenal need a striker. So everyone's really excited about this player. I think part of the excitement is his desire to make the deal happen and forego some money. And I think it's very important how you walk into a room. If you walk into a room with a desire to play for that club, what it does, it buys you patience. So when he kicks one into the car park in the first game, we're going to say, don't worry about it, it's okay. When someone goes to your club that you've had to beg to come in and they're coming on a bigger wages and upset the dressing room, then the patience becomes less. So I'm really pleased with the approach that we've gone. The age, maybe to the guys on the spreadsheets, is 1 or 2 years high. But actually, I think his career path and trajectory says he's arrived at the right time at our club. And so I'm pleased.
Absolutely. And with his experience in English football as well, I think that was probably standing him in good stead against Benjamin Sesko, if that was the key sort of debate, as it were, in the Arsenal Transfer Committee's mind. I mean, James, there were a lot of Arsenal content creators out there who were keener on Sesko, let's say. Do you have any nagging doubts about Gyökeres, or do you think his kind of desire to score goals just kind of trumps any sort of maybe technique issues?
It's hard, isn't it? There's sort of we live in a world where you've got to pick one and that's the end of it. Like, you know, I think there's a content creator to your right who we've had conversations with, and let's be honest, I've come here just to listen to Clive. But one of my questions to you would be that yourself, and I think, as you say, most people wanted Sesko. I think people were more excited by the ceiling of Sesko. I think if you can get out of your own way, and that's my kind of question, I think, for the sort of narrative that will sort of swirl around Arsenal, because it always does with these top teams. And that's why Gyökeres starting well would be incredibly beneficial and showcasing the things that he has. And he has some elements that Sesko doesn't have. My sort of feeling between the two is that if you kind of want someone for right now, I think I would lean gently towards Gyökeres. If you want someone who's a safer transfer bet, like over 4 or 5 years, and with that ceiling of Sesko, I think Sesko's kind of the guy. So I think 2 things can be true. I hope he does well. I think because of all the conversation, he could really, really do with starting well. And I'm fascinated to see if that sort of bullish nature that he has, that ability to get separation and get shots off, and the sort of the range of goals that he's able to score can remain in the Premier League, because the other thing is that people talk about the Darwin Núñez maybe sort of not being able to sort of move across and get it done. The other thing is the headers. My one cheeky prediction I'll chuck out there, I think Gyökeres will score a lot of headers this year, because I think the way that Arsenal are going to set up, there will be a lot of sort of delicate crosses into the box as opposed to just peppering with crosses. And I think, what he hasn't done so far doesn't mean he can't do it. I think it's a good signing. They needed a striker.
They need a striker, and I think there are things that he does which I think are transferable. So we can all watch the clips and say ball striking is really, really good. But what does that mean? Ball striking, the last touch before you strike, if you look at him, it's perfect. It puts it in the right place to get his body around the ball and really strike it. Headers, if you put the ball for him to run onto with the head, it's fantastic. We play low blocks. His lateral running is really, really good and quite high, not just transition running. But what he has is character and a defined way of playing. So when you're in midfield and you look up and you see somebody's shorts going the other direction, you better be passing. You better be passing because he's committed to that run. I don't think we commit to the last line enough. And with James, I know you know this because I've seen some of your clips on it. We don't commit that last time. We don't run through. Because we don't run through, we're quite passive in midfield with our passing. And Odegaard, party, pass. Look up, someone's coming towards them. We need to be more direct, more transitional, more direct when the opportunity is there. And when you bring a player like him that says, this is my game, you better be passing to him. So I think it's going to make a massive difference to.
That's a really good point because you didn't have to sprint less as a Premier League team than you did against Arsenal all season long, and that says something. So you need players that are going to affect the game more quickly.
Yeah.
And I think with the whole whole set of transfers that Arsenal brought through, Gyökeres being one of them as well.
Yeah.
I think they've addressed that.
And also on paper, the differences stylistically between Gyökeres and Havertz are so clear as well.
Yeah.
So you can drop them in for different games, change up your kind of tactics midway
Absolutely.
through. I think that's pretty exciting. Let's talk about Zubimendi, because again, this was a transfer that's been long talked about. He was linked with Liverpool last summer. Supposedly he didn't want to move just after the Euros. And then there was that horrible week where it looked like he might go to Real Madrid. Although it seems like now, Arteta was so crucial to persuading him about the Arsenal project. They wanted Mourinho and Zubimendi in the same summer, but their PSR reasons couldn't, afford both in the same summer. So they waited 1 year and they brought in Zubimendi, who I think has been underrated in Europe for a number of seasons now. I mean, James, what do you think this means for the composition of their midfield? Because Arteta's been quite clear, this is our six, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and rightfully so. He's my kind of player. I love players like him who sort of get it and play it quickly, play it forwards, can spray passes, can see those passes as well. He's a bit of me. I do really, really like him. And I think for how strong Arsenal are defensively, he's good defensively, but to sort of he's a slightly more attacking minded six as sixes go, if that makes sense. So with that, I think you can he's almost adding a touch of flair whilst still being a player that is 2-3 touch, plays it really, really simple because he's got that lovely vision about him. For me, it's going to reveal just how good Odegaard is, in my opinion. I think he's had good years.
Season.
He's had good years. Last year was a tough year for him. And one of the frustrations was him maybe dropping a little bit too deep to pick up the ball and then not really doing much with it because the person he would have played to is himself. With Zubimendi there, the great sixes, everyone runs away or sort of goes away from them because there's total trust on that six. And I think you will get that with Zubimendi. And I think we're going to touch on Nørgaard as well. I think that's a cracking signing as well. Yeah. But we can get to that. With Odegaard, I just think he will be told, stay there, stay up there, stay in that pocket. And that will be very revealing for just how good he is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Clive, specifically on Nørgaard, because it was a transfer that I think a lot of people initially saw and maybe were surprised by. But I think you look into it, and if you've swapped Partey and Jorginho with their contract situations for Zubimendi and Nørgaard, surely that's an upgrade in that area. I mean, what do you think Nørgaard will bring?
I think it is an upgrade, and Nørgaard's a classic you can't hide anymore with data signing, because as soon as you see it, you think, what are they doing? You look into it, you see the interceptions, you look at Brentford's results when he doesn't play. And you think, okay, you look at his value on set pieces, you think, Arsenal are quite good at that. And it just sort of adds up, doesn't it? There's been a lot of sensible, sort of called renewal decisions and problem-solved decisions made in these transfers. So Nørgaard for definite solves a lot of problems for us. I think we lost 21 points on winning positions last year.
Wow.
And that's a lot. Right, 14 draws. It's on my mind. I can't sleep. Right, so someone like Nørgaard comes in and he can solidify those games and end up being a closer for you defensively. So rather we did it with Rob Holding a few years back, we do it with him in centre midfield. Really good at interception and maybe springing the team forward. With Zubimendi now, he's a wonderful player, but what he brings that maybe people haven't quite seen yet is two-footedness. So we're quite one-footed in that base position last year. But if the ball's on his left side, don't wait to get it onto your strong side. It just goes. So the phrase, he's got all the clubs, but he's got all the clubs in both feet, which means the opportunity again to hit that line will be there. The amount of times I look down at the Emirates and I see opportunities missed, that's my big frustration and criticism. And we've got a player there I think can see it and he'll play it.
I agree. Right, let's talk about the signing that probably has attracted the most negative headlines in Noni Madueke. I mean, it went completely over the top. There was a petition about the signing. It was pretty horrible, really, in the end. But talking specifically about the player and the fit, would you be happy if Noni Madueke, and it looks like Eze would be the sort of attacking midfield winger recruits this summer. Would you be happy with that going into the season?
We mentioned Eze. I had a quick little tear there. It just
Still waiting on that one, aren't we?
I'm just hopeful.
I'm waiting as well. There's some QPR money on its way. I need that to go through.
And every single Arsenal fan would say there's one more signing to come, right? And that's just the way, the nature of the beast. Madueke, initial response from me was Chelsea. I'm not too worried about Chelsea because they've got so much talent. We'll be buying from them again, just because of the nature of football. And there's a transfer ecosystem in the Premier League. Let's not pretend we're not going to buy off each other, because we are, right? So I have to grow up there.
They've got enough players, you know.
Exactly. But when I see Madueke as part of the Chelsea system, per se, it's very much a system where there's lots of young players trying to fight for playtime. And so that drives what I call almost like a first-team academy type vibe. Where you ever watch academy football where someone goes through and just shoots and there are 2 or 3 passes next to you? They've got to. They're trying to impress all the time. Because not just competing with their dressing room, they're competing with somebody they don't even know is going to come in. I mean, look at the size they've had in wide areas already this year. So I think that explains some of his attitude. But what does he bring? Clarity. One man on man, running behind, strength and power, clarity. So what do you do when you've got someone that brings clarity? You give them the ball. And I think we've got one player in our front line that has absolute clarity about what he wants to do, and you can all name him. We've added 2 more that have real strong characteristics about their play style. I think it's going to make a massive difference.
And quickly on that, before we touch on Eze, which I want to ask James about, Martinelli, this feels like a big season for him. Are you backing him to get back to that sort of top level he showed a few years ago?
He has to define his game by not just jogging up to people, dropping it back 5 yards. Out to him runs. He's got to make some of those. You have to say, am I a carrier, a dribbler, or am I a runner? If I'm a runner, run. But run different directions. Because back to that point again about our distribution, it's very right-sided heavy. All our midfields are creaking to the right. We need to open up the pitch. Otherwise, he's going to get discouraged. He's going to stand in wide areas to stretch the line, receive it, people come over, and he's 2-on-1. That's not really suiting him. So he needs to be a bit more active. I hope so. He's 23. You don't want to give up on 23-year-olds, but he's got work to do.
Okay, fair enough. And James, back to you on the sort of left-hand side. You've obviously watched Eze come through. I'm sure you're a massive fan of him, both as a player and as a person. Were you surprised that it's Madueke and Eze, and what impact do you think Eze would make at Arsenal in the hypothetical situation that he does sign?
I think the thing I kind of like about this transfer window for Arsenal is the sort of the diversity of profiles that this group has now. Because if you look and reflect on what went wrong last season, it was the ability to change the game, change the team, change the formation, change the shape. And if you look at Man City, if you look at Liverpool, they have that. They have so many different options from that point of view. So the Madueke one was ridiculous for me, in the sense that just because he's not Isak or this star, superstar, doesn't mean he's not offering a new profile, a new range of profiles. Also, great potential. I think if anyone's kind of looked into his personality, I think he's clearly got he's got more that, he says it himself, like he loves Ronaldo. He wants to have that mindset. Yeah. That's a great mindset to have. So I thought the only thing that you could kind of turn on it, which would be understandable, is you're losing some money to spend on a Rodrigo, which obviously is that kind of superstar. So I appreciate that. Eze, again, it's a similar thing, and I think he's absolutely good enough. I think Arsenal fans will adore him because every club he plays for, they do, because he's so fun. I think we're great against low blocks. I think he'd be a great different option in that left-sided left half space, which is his natural place. I generally don't consider him a winger. He's a player that can maybe, if you need him to, could start out wide, which again allows you to have Madueke, Martinelli, Eze on that left-hand side. All 3 of them do absolutely different things. That's it. And then you've got Trossard if you want to chuck him in the mix as well. This whole Arsenal squad has got so many different aspects to it. And Eze is another good piece. And the final thing I think is really important here is Martinelli with Madueke. You're almost smoking them out in terms of how good are you? Here's a bit of competition for you. Because this is the thing we forget. This isn't Football Manager. These are people. And so when Madueke comes in, Martinelli's going to go, he's going to see that. And he's going to go, right, I better And some people, they it's fight or flight a little bit. You know, you find, as one of Clive's phrases, you find your level. Yeah. And so you're going to find that with Martinelli, because Madueke is going to put that pressure on. I think for Eze is going to, again, for Odegaard, maybe a little bit, just in terms of maybe, obviously he's on the other side of the pitch, but I mean, Odegaard could move over there, he just hasn't done it. But like that kind of player, there could come a point where there are conversations we're going, well, who are we going to start here, Eze or Odegaard? And so Odegaard, again, that pressure's on him. Does he survive, or does he thrive? That's what Eze would bring as much as anything else.
It does look very, very deep in those forward areas if you manage to sign Eze as well. Let's briefly touch on Christian Mosquera as well. It felt like you did want a kind of backup centre-back that wasn't going to upset the apple cart of priorities back there, but you were linked with Dean Howson, who probably felt closer to the first team. But Mosquera has had some really promising seasons at Valencia, and for a Saliba long-term backup, whether Saliba leaves or not, I'm not suggesting he is before you all go mental. Mosquera feels like he can play some games if he needs to.
Absolutely, and he looks like an Arsenal defender. So we leave our defenders man on man, and so you've got to be able to run backwards, and you've got to be able to press all the way in and be really aggressive. I think he profiles closer to Gabriel, maybe. He's not so pretty on the ball, but he's really aggressive. I think it's a great place for him to learn. The hardest challenge for recruitment staff, I don't want to use this word, is to buy somebody that can back up Saka and somebody can back up Saliba. Very hard, and they seem to have done it. Now, the word backup creates a sort of storm that Madueke had. Why spend that much money on a backup? Without realising he played 11, 12 games on the left-hand side for Chelsea last year, and he also played for England on the left-hand side. And that's another thing, another configuration we can use, a lefty wide who can drive on that side, that can cross with his left foot, to a centre forward that doesn't mind the box. You see, it's all starting to come together, right? So it may not be the beauty contest that we normally do. Like players like Isak and Ekitike, they're Arsenal players, right? We get those players. Ballet dancers, pretty feet, 6 foot, can really flexible. But we're buying people to fix the problems that we have and offer a different face. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned Ethan Wannieri, who's still there. You've got Max Darman coming through, looks absolutely sensational as well. Arsenal in forward areas is something else. But I suppose the big question, and the title of this video, was around whether these signings make Arsenal title favourites. And the champions from last year, Liverpool, have had a pretty scary summer, I think it's fair to say. Wirtz, Ekitike, Frimpong, Kerkez, potentially Alexander Isak too. Clive, as an Arsenal fan, have you watched sort of behind your sofa?
Well, I will be. I tell you now, this is the tactical issues for me. I don't know what they're going to do. If they get all these players, I've been thinking about it all morning. I've been thinking about it. Okay, what are they going to do? So they're quite a vertical team, right? So when the ball transitions, it's to the track meet, it's a sprint. And they really flood the area, and they play the ball in front. So if it breaks down, they're there to counter press, right? So they're smart. They know what they're doing. They're very, very good at it. But this is different, because the Wirtz signing, what's he going to be? You know, is he going to be false nine? Is he going to be off the left? Is he going to roam? Are they going to become less vertical, more rotational? This is so interesting to see what they actually do. I'm not worried, because there's 2 sides to football. Well, there's actually 3 sides to football. In possession, out of possession, and in transition. Transition, they've had it nailed for 5 years, right? So we know they're brilliant at that. But out of possession, towards the back end of their pitch, there are vulnerabilities there that they managed to get through last year. The one period they lost Konate, Joe Gomez was fit for, and then he was unfit and Konate came back, and they were not exposed in those areas. The 2 fullbacks they've bought, they're not 6 foot monsters on the back post. They're very small and they're very good going forward, but coming backwards could be a challenge. So how they haven't got Henderson and Wijnaldum anymore to get out there and cover. So how they do this is going to be so interesting. I am really genuinely fascinated. I'm not putting them down. I think it's going to be so good to see a team investing like this. I'm not scared of it. I want this to happen. It takes a favourite tag away from us straight away. I want this to happen, because we all want to see a league where tactics are evolving, aren't they? And I think it's going to be so interesting what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the plus point for Arsenal is that that's probably at least 4 starters in their starting 11 as well. That's a brand new, pretty much so many new relationships to build, so many new connections. Yeah. They could get off to a slow start. We've got no idea. They could have so much momentum. They've obviously lost a teammate in tragic circumstances as well. That could be so difficult for them mentally. It could also galvanise them, but you just have no idea what sort of effect Diogo Jota's tragic passing is going to have. But from a transfer perspective, James, which almost feels silly to talk about having just talked about Diogo Jota, but from a transfer perspective, this summer for Liverpool, it's pretty ominous, I would say.
Yeah, I think any of those signings, even to the point we're talking before an Isak signing has gone through, if it is to go through, you're kind of going, it's very difficult to go, don't buy Isak because you've got Ekitike. Don't buy Kerkez because you've got Frimpong.
Do you think they would have got Ekitike if Isak had said like a week earlier, like, I want to go?
I would hazard the guess that there's been lots of conversations knocking about all over the place, and I would imagine everyone knows how everyone feels. I'd be amazed in this day and age if that isn't the case. I know absolutely nothing, just to safeguard myself legally. I'm hearing a lot of people going, it is super exciting. Okay, and so you don't want to take away the sort of joy of that, right? We all love shopping, and these, like I say, Wirtz, yes, like Ekitike. Actually, the more I watched him, the more I kind of like him. I do have a reservation over the fact he feels very right-footed for me.
Yeah.
But is a super exciting player, and obviously the squad that there's great already, and a lot of people using the word dynasty, and I would say and I know most Liverpool fans aren't of that mindset. But that dynasty might be 18 months away, a year away. It might be one where sometimes when let's go back to when Van Dijk did his knee, you lose that one piece in Van Dijk and it can all fall apart a little bit. And so although you've kind of been okay with some of these changes, they are changes. And so it might be one we kind of have to go backwards to go forwards. The bottom line is you've got some super exciting players who are all like the right kind of age profile. And to go back to when we talk about Gyökeres and Sesko, it's one where kind of, for the sort of longevity of Liverpool's success, it looks incredibly rosy. My gut, and I don't know if it's just like, the content creator and me looking for a different argument on it, my gut kind of feels a touch funny about it. I think there could be some growing pains, because I think the outlook on Liverpool, when you spend that amount of money, that kind of changes as well. And Liverpool have been, as enormous of a team as Liverpool are, they have been kind of the underdogs in this fantastic era that they've had. And I'm sure people pick that apart, but hopefully some of you understand what I'm getting at. When you're buying all these players for this much money, like it has been for Man City, then it changes. The expectation changes, and that can have an effect on a group.
And specifically on Isak, Clive, because he's been linked with Arsenal. I think it was many Arsenal fans sort of dream signing, if it was possible, and maybe with the strengthening you needed to do in other areas, it wasn't asked for Arsenal financially. Is there a sense of jealousy if they do sign Isak? I mean, is that the sort of perfect signing for them?
Well, the Arsenal fan in me just said, well, they've got problems here, they've got problems there.
Yeah.
What happened if Gravenberch doesn't have such a good season? He becomes very important. He's playing centre-back at the moment, and he drops in between there at the moment. I think he's a very important player. How do they backfill him? So yeah, I in days gone by, that'll be our player, but we cannot afford to spend 150 on him. Because what Liverpool do much better than us is they sell very well.
Yeah.
You have to. It's not just about spending; it's about selling, and they're going to get a good number for Diaz. They're going to get a good number for Nunez.
Elliott too, probably.
Harvey Elliott, done his bit for the under-21s. They're going to get 30, 40 million for him. And so they sell very well. It's not just one-way traffic. I still think they need a centre-back. And they probably need another all-round defensive midfield. I wouldn't want to say a 6, just somebody that could future-proof them, because there are a lot of football matches now. They're going to play 60-yard football matches in a high-sprint league, and I just think they can't assume they're going to get the same injury record they had last season.
Can they keep everyone happy? That's the thing for me. I feel like with Arsenal, you've got like the young guy and the older guy, or like everyone's different. So there's a very clear understanding in a group of 20 that this game's for you. There's an excuse for it. For Ekitike to come in with that money, if you then buy Isak as well,
10 days after.
Someone's going to get annoyed. You've got, like, I think, here's a crazy prediction. I wonder I just wonder if we get to some weird point where Liverpool may be trying to still figure themselves out. You can't fit everyone in. So someone who's very high status, who's come for a lot of money, or is Mohamed Salah, someone's got to be dropped. And how will that group kind of deal with that? They might be absolutely fine with it, but that's what's kind of irking at me today.
Can I hold you in that point there just for a second? Because maybe it's something for us to think about. Because we're all watching these games now. We're all watching us play against low blocks. Reason why? You don't run about in the low block or mid block. You save your energy. Reason why? There are too many games that are going on at the moment, really. And so the quality of games are changing because they're becoming so intensive, right? So the concept of first 11s, maybe we have to change.
Yeah, I agree.
We just watched the Women's Euros, which is basically one off the bench. I just watched the British Lions, that's basically one off the bench. There's a concept with 5 subs. Have we really gone there with it? You know? And we're all party to blame. But if I turn up at the Emirates and Saka's not playing, I've got a problem, right? So I talk about player welfare and things like this. When it comes down to it, I want to see my best players on the pitch. But does it come to a point where you have to think about the game differently? I think it's coming close.
I think you're right.
I really do. It's coming close. I think these teams are stacking. You know, they're stacking up. For this. That's why the word backup, we need to wipe it from our minds.
I think you're right. I think you're spot on there.
And also, Liverpool were so clear last year because they didn't get many injuries in forward areas. They didn't get any injuries in midfield. And that's an amazing advantage to have. I also think that everyone's kind of assuming that Wirtz is going to play as this 10, whereas I'd be reluctant to take Szoboszlai and his energy and pressing ability out of that midfield as well, particularly if it's McAllister and Gravenberch behind with no other sort of all-round midfielder arriving, as you say, because I do think Szoboszlai is really underrated in the defensive part of his game. Yes, he needs to improve his numbers, but steady on there. But Wirtz can still play on the left, and I'm so excited to watch Florian Wirtz. It'll be amazing.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Who do you think misses out?
Ekitike.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Ekitike. And I don't think Gakpo minds rotating with Wirtz on the left-hand side either, so he seems like very much a team player. But I think it'll be Salah, Isak and Wirtz or Gakpo on the left-hand side. And then Ekitike, I feel pretty sorry for him. I think he's, set to play a lot of games throughout the season, no doubt, but you're joining a new league, there's expectation on you, and I don't think you'll be starting that many games, at least to begin with, if they sign Alexander Isak. Let's talk about Man City, because my hot take is that I don't think Man City are as prepared as everyone else for this new season, in that they still don't have a senior right-back. And I think a sort of backline of Aït-Nouri starting as a natural left-back as well slightly concerns me. And then I think the absence of Kevin De Bruyne is going to be pretty massive. As good as Ryan Cherki is, I still think it's a huge ask for him to instantly get to De Bruyne's level. But James, you watched a lot more of City in the Club World Cup, and people were getting pretty excited about them before the disastrous game where they were knocked out. What did you kind of notice about City in terms of where they could be next season?
I think it's that sort of the idea of the squad over the 11 was definitely something. There was a different tactical shape in each game. The thing that I really liked, if I were to be a Man City fan, was Jeremy Doku in a very different role, where he was really scary. Like he was sort of, because there's this kind of maybe older mindset of you're a winger, go play out there. He played sort of in the middle, and they were then able to play a straight pass to him. And I just put myself in the body of a defender, kind of coming towards him. And I don't know, if he's going to go left or right with his speed. It was horrible. I was sort of kind of like getting slightly nauseous watching it. So that was exciting. Reinders is a Pep player, absolutely. Slick. Rodri came in and just.
Did he look back to his bed?
Yeah, really quickly. And to your point on the right back, I think Matheus Nunes looked really good there. So they've got loads and loads of options, and I do feel like those top guys spending that money and building the squads out, it's because they all know we're going to have to play 68 games if everything goes well, and I think that mindset will be there for all these teams to see that Pep Guardiola, the one that kind of the Pep roulette that kills our FPL teams every week, where you kind of, I don't know if he's going to play. I think that's going to happen in all three of those sides. Man City looked good. They still looked like that you could get them on the break with one ball. That's what happened with Al Hilal pretty easily. They had a lot of shots for the lack of possession that they had. So I think that will be a big thing this season as well. And it's a risk that I think all three of those teams will take. Arsenal, I was watching some of their highlights the other day, and Nørgaard's high and Zinchenko's high. They love to suffocate the opposition, just like Man City do as well. I think there'll be no change in that. I think they need a right back. I think if they get a Livramento, I don't know what the latest is on that one. And poor Newcastle fans. But if they do get someone like Livramento, to again have two good right backs, I think they look very, very, very dangerous.
Okay, I mean, they'd be so frustrated if we don't mention them, given the fact they just won the Club World Cup and got back into the Champions League. But Chelsea, I think, a lot of their recruitment in forward areas to go from Jackson and Nkunku to Jackson, if he stays, João Pedro, Delap, and then you look at the way they've recruited, particularly on the left wing, Gittins, and looks like Xavi Simons is arriving as well, and Mudrik's out the picture, Sancho gone. They've upgraded in lots of their forward areas despite losing Madueke. But do you think Chelsea are ready to seriously contend this year, Clive?
On paper, they could do. But I think part of it with Chelsea is what do they want to achieve? With Arsenal now, there's clear goals they want to achieve. With Liverpool, the same, and Man City on the way back. So what they want to do next year. With Chelsea, what do they want to do? Are they a model where they just become player trading, take the priority, or are they focused on something else? When you bring in that many players that you're learning about, you can grow a side from it. But I'm not sure if that team has got glue and got heart that holds it together, that says, this is the direction that we're going. I think it's a lot more soft factor with them. I think people get upset with them because they don't quite understand their model. I just try to look at the footballers and say, okay, what are you doing? All under 23, around that age. You've got a group of young men existing together, coexisting together. That sometimes can drive a culture that's not really the right culture to win a league. But they've got talent. They have got a lot of talent. In the centre midfield, they've got talent there, and defensively, centre backs, they've got progressive talent, but they haven't got that pivot, that point that says Saliba, Van Dijk. They haven't got that guy, Diaz. They haven't got that guy yet. So I still think they're vulnerable. The goalkeeper's a weakness for me.
Definitely.
So they got some nice things, but it's not quite the league team yet, in my opinion.
Okay, I mean, guys, I'm going to ask you quickly, if you had to say right now, who do you think is winning the league, James? That's what you're here for.
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't worry about upsetting me.
We're in prediction season, aren't we?
We are.
So we're still circulating. So please
still
do
a lot
come
to
to my
happen.
channel to watch my predictions in a couple of weeks' time. My gut's with Arsenal at the moment.
Really?
My gut is with
I'm
Arsenal.
delighted.
Yeah, my gut is Arsenal, City, Liverpool at the moment.
Okay.
And I just need to let that percolate for a little bit longer. I'm not sort of set in stone on that. I think Arsenal, the makeup of that squad is really, I think it's quite strong.
Clive, would you be in agreement?
I think what Arsenal tried to do, they tried to reinvigorate the squad. And I think that word is important. Renewal's constant, but reinvigorate with energy and character, the people that you recognise. I think our goals are clear. We're trying to raise their level. That's the primary goal, raise the level. Even Odegaard's under pressure. So raise level. If you do that effectively, then we've got a good chance. I think last year we tried to sustain and got caught out with injuries and suspensions, etc. So we dropped. Now we're trying to go up. Right? If you've been at the club 5-6 years as a manager, what would you do? You would lift it, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You'd lift the level, new sporting director, new coach, aggressive players, more muscles. You'd go, wouldn't you?
You'd go.
And that's what he's done. So fair play.
God, the viewers are going to love this. Two guys backing Arsenal. That's great stuff for them. I'm still going Liverpool, to be totally honest, but I do think Arsenal will be considerably closer this year, and I think Liverpool could have a tricky start. After that, I do think they're probably going to have a better all-round squad than Arsenal.
Maybe Sunderland.
Maybe Sunderland in the mixer. We never know. We never know. I mean, if we carry on
know.
signing the Granit Xhakas of this world, who knows? I'm not ruling anything out. Let's talk about our Sky Mobile switch of the week. So this is our favourite completed deal or rumour that's kind of percolating at the moment. James Allcott.
I've got two.
Oh, nice.
We can talk about either.
You can have both.
Okay. So Rodrigo de Paul would go into Miami. I found that hilarious. Messi's like
Beckham Jr.
Do you know what? We're a bit low on legs actually. Can I pick up the phone? Another one of my boys. Let me bring in Rodrigo de Paul, who was good in the Club World Cup. Really, really good. So I thought that was fascinating. One I'm really excited to see how it develops is Evan Ferguson going to Roma. Yeah, Gasperini coming in there. He's got the best out of so many players that maybe need that, and I feel like he needs that. I feel like he was unfairly overhyped. Hopefully that makes sense to people initially. And I think that was kind of because he was new and fresh, but it takes time, and he now needs games, and I think at Roma hopefully he'll get that, and I'm excited to see him blossom. Yeah,
absolutely. You look at Gasperini's record with Luis Muriel and Duvin Zapata, and more recently like Lookman and Scamacca.
Yeah,
the perfect manager for you, Clive.
I've got a couple, right?
Nice.
So, Aaron Ramsdale's been linked to Newcastle, and I really like that. I felt he could have gone there initially, but went to Southampton. He's the sort of goalkeeper that connects to the crowd, and Newcastle's crowd is right on you. I think if he's a success there, he could do really, really well for them. I think he fits their culture. So I think that's a good move, he gets that move. But the one I'm really interested in is Benjamin Sesko to either Newcastle or Manchester United. If I'm him, I'm going to go to Newcastle because of their transitional style, how they move up the pitch. James is nodding because he knows this. They've added Elanga, I mean, he's lightning. And straight away, Anthony Gordon, lightning. And they move up the pitch. If they lose Isak, they need something they can see. They're a traditional club that likes a number 9, that looks like a number 9. And so he would really fit them. I thought he'd fit Arsenal, but he didn't really, it felt like he didn't really want the move, so, whereas Gyökeres does. So Sesko to Newcastle, I would do that if I'm him, and maybe give Man United a miss because they're still developing, and I would protect my career by going somewhere we've got a defined style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say this as a Sunderland fan, but I think it's the perfect move for him, to be totally honest. I had my doubts about Arsenal just because of the expectation of that 9 coming in for next season and the season after. But I think in 2-3 years, he's going to be absolutely brilliant. No surprises for me. I'm going Granit Xhaka to Sunderland.
That is so, man.
Here we go. I cannot believe it, guys. He swapped a Champions League club for Sunderland when Saudi Arabia were in for you. Your family reportedly wanted to stay in Germany. Ten Hag said it cannot be done. And he's come to Sunderland. It's mad.
I feel like he will be the manager within 18 months.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like that's on like some kind of... Cause we've seen him doing his badges. He feels like a manager. He talks like a manager. I wouldn't be surprised if they've gone, look, come here, have 2 good years if you've got it in you, whatever it might be, and learn, and because he'll be a captain on the pitch, won't he? He'll be a coach on the pitch. Yeah. I think he might be there for a while,
I'd have thought so. And Luke O'Nien as well is probably not going to start next year. I wouldn't be surprised if he is actually captain as well. I think it's such a clever signing. And yeah, as far as being manager in the future, make him sporting director. Give him the keys to the club. I'm absolutely delighted. Clive, just quickly on Granit Xhaka. The way he turned around his career at Arsenal after the difficulties in that Palace game. Yeah. An amazing finish, and how well he did at Bayer Leverkusen as well. You must be pleased for him.
He's a very good player. I think at that phase of our development, we needed him. We needed a bloke. So he sat there and said, "This is what we're going to do." And I think we need him. I think he maybe left maybe 6 months too early, but actually that's normally the best time. I think sometimes Arsenal keep people a little bit too long, and then we don't get our resale value. So he went at the right time for him as well. He's not the sort of guy to be on the bench. He needs to play, to be a leader. So he's gone away, done really well. Now he's coming back to Sunderland, where again, they're going to rely on him, aren't they, in his experience and leadership. So perfect role for him.
Absolutely. And if you're having 30% possession, I've said a number of times, like, who better to put on the ball than Granit Xhaka? I'm absolutely buzzing with it. Guys, that has been the Sky Mobile transfer show for this week. Remember that with all the transfers going on between clubs this summer, it's never been easier to switch your network over to Sky Mobile. All you need to do is text PAC, that's PAC, to 65075, 65075, and Sky Mobile will do the rest. Massive thank you to James Allcott, massive thank you to Clive, and we'll catch you next time on the Sky Mobile transfer show. Bye, guys.